I think it's time to begin the lesson. I don't know if you can see my camera or not.
Yes, miss.
Yes. So we are going to start with today's lesson, but first we are going to play a game, and the game is called True or False. So you have to try to identify whether the following statements are true or false. And all of these statements are about The Rock or Dwayne Johnson. So we have here 10 statements, and I need you to unmute your mics because I want to hear your answers. Here is not like in those cases in which you have to justify your false answers. You just need to say if it is true or false. Okay, so don't worry about justifying the false answers. So the first one is, he was arrested 9 times before the age of 17. Do you think that's true or false?
False.
False. What about the rest?
I think it's false too.
False. Sadly, this is actually true. He was arrested 9 times before the age of 17. So it's surprising because he was arrested many times at such a young age. So the second one is, he eats 8 meals per day. Do you think that's true or false?
I think it's true.
True?
Yes.
This one is actually false. He doesn't eat 8 meals per day. He eats 7 meals per day, which is very similar, if I'm honest. But he does not eat less than 5,000 calories per day, which is insane if you think about the fact that, I mean, not normal humans, but you're supposed to eat 2,000 calories per day, and he eats more than the double of that. So it's a lot. The next one is, he has a degree in criminology. Do you think that's true or false?
Is true.
True?
False.
False? That one is true. He went to the University of Miami and he has a degree in criminology, but he doesn't use it. And he has never worked on that field. He just has this degree he never used. The next one is number 4. He lived in Hawaii, in the beautiful land of Hawaii. False
True.
or true?
False.
Yeah. False. That one is actually true. He did live in Hawaii. That's very interesting. Then number 5. He used to dance in world competitions. What do you think? Does he look like someone who would like to dance?
Is false.
False. Yeah, false. That's that you're correct. That's false. He does not dance. He doesn't like to dance. Now, number 7. He has won 7 times the WWE championships. Championship. Is it true or is it false?
I think it's
False.
true.
False, true. That one is actually true. He did won 7 times, which is a lot. Now, number 8. He is terribly scared of spiders. What do you think? He's a very muscular guy. He looks very intimidating. Is he scared of spiders or not?
I
False.
think it is false.
False, true. What else? What about the rest? Well, that one is actually true. He is scared of spiders. So now I am going to read number 9, and says, he is fluent in Chinese, Spanish, and Portuguese. Gaspar, Ignacio, Kelly, Pia, Camila, you can all answer. Haven't heard you. What do you think? Is it true or is it false? Like he's fluent in Chinese, Spanish, and Portuguese.
False.
False?
True.
For me, it's true.
For you, it's true. Sadly, he that is
I don't know
he.
why.
You have that feeling, right? Actually, that one is false because he knows a little bit of Spanish because his ex-wife was Cuban, but he's not fluent in Chinese and Portuguese. So that one was false. And the last one is he usually drinks a cup of tea in the morning. True or false? What do you reckon?
False.
False? Thank you very much. And the rest? Do you think it's true or false? One more opinion?
False?
False? Yeah, that one is false. He doesn't drink a cup of tea in the mornings. He usually drinks a cup of coffee in the morning. But with that being said, we are going to move now onto the next slide, which is this one. What do we have in here? What can you see? What are those?
3 cups of tea.
3 cups of tea. Thank you very much. You know, in other words, we have 3 teas or 3 cups of tea. And that's exactly what the topic of today's lesson is. And for the agenda today, we are going to have a recap of the 3 T's. Then we are going to work on tonicity. Then we are going to have the 10-minute break. And then we are going to practice tonality, tonicity, and tone. So now, as we have already mentioned this in previous classes, the 3 T's are 3 basic systems that operate in English intonation. And you already worked with tonality the previous session, but I'm going to mention it anyways because we are going to have exercises later on about these 3 systems. And tonality refers to the division of the spoken material into meaningful chunks. As you can remember, tonality it's about separating the IPs or the intonation phrases. And then we have tonicity, which is the concept we are going to work with today. And it says speakers use intonation to highlight some words that are important for the meaning they wish to convey. With that being said, that means that we add pitch prominence to certain syllables in order to focus the hearer's attention. Or in other words, we just accentuate what we want the other person to focus on. And then finally, tone. We have that having decided the tonicity, we are going to decide on one pitch movement. We are going to associate the IP with, and there are mainly 3 types of tone: rise, fall, and fall, rise. Now, as I already mentioned, we are going to work with tonicity, and I want you to take notes on the previous concepts because we are going to have, I think, with tonicity 2 activities today, and I need you to be able to identify the specific concepts or the components I am going to mention. So I need you to take notes, and that's the reason why I am going to not ask you to read on this part of the lesson, because I really want you to take notes on a piece of paper or in your notebook or your computer, your laptop, wherever you are working with. So first, tonicity. As I already mentioned, tonicity refers to what we want to accentuate, what we want to highlight, what we want the other person to notice. And basically, from, like I already mentioned, from having decided the tonicity, then we can identify where the tone begins, or where we start to hear where the tone or the intonation, if it's the intonation pattern begins, if it's falling or rising. So tonicity. Tone unit, also known as intonation phrase, speech unit, or tone group, is the basic unit of intonation commonly found in bigger size than in a bigger size than the syllable. As I already mentioned, you already worked with IPs the previous session, so I think you have an idea about what an IP is because you already saw this. And then we have that each tone unit has to have a tonic syllable. That means that the tonic syllable is always present in the tone unit or in the intonational phrase or in the tone group. It always have to, the tonic syllable always has to be present in the tonic syllable. In other words, the tonic syllable always has to have, it's always present in this intonational phrase. And we also have that in each intonational phrase, like it's already there, we always have this tonic syllable. Whenever we have one, we know we have to have a tonic syllable. Then we have that within each tone unit, we can find 4 components. And these components are the prehead, the head, the tonic syllable, that is the element I was mentioning, and the tail. You need to know that the tonic syllable, it's going to be the most important element of the IP, of the intonational phrase. And the other elements, the prehead, the head, or the tail, may or not be present, but like there's always have to have a tonic syllable. So the tonic syllable, it's always present in these intonational phrases because it's the most important component. By the way, if you have any questions, just interrupt me at any moment or raise your hand or write in the chat. Yeah, that's it. So now we have the tonic syllable, and we are going to describe each one of the components in a separate slide. And we have the tonic syllable, or the nucleus, is the most important syllable in a tone unit. It is the syllable that carries the most important stress of that unit. And like I already mentioned, in English, there can be one tonic syllable per tone unit. So the tonic syllable is always present in the intonational phrase, and there's only one per unit, and it is the most important stress of that unit. But be careful, because not because it is the most important stress of that unit of that phrase, it means that it's going to be the most prominent one. Because the tonic syllable, even though it's the most important stress, this stress is not necessarily the most prominent that it's present on the IP. So as an example, we have in a little less than an hour, I think. And in this case, hour is the tonic syllable, because if you think about it and you read the sentence, if you say in a little less than, I know, a second, a minute, in a little less of what? You need to sometimes ask you those kind of questions to identify which is the most important element within within the IP. Because, for instance, here we have little marks. We have stress here in little and in less, but not because we have the stress there, it means these are going to be, these words going to be, or this one, it's going to be the most prominent one, or it's going to be more prominent than this other one, because the information is not that important. The more important information is the word hour. So in this case, this is a tonic syllable because of that. So in a little less than an hour, I think. Now, we are going to move on to the head. And the head is...
Miss,
yes?
sorry to interrupt you, but can you back to the other slide, please? Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I am going to make a tipos. Ready? Could you be able to take the...
No, not yet, not yet.
Gaspar, if you want, you can write me an email and I can send you the presentations. I think I already sent the presentations to some of your classmates by email. You need to write me. Okay?
Okay, I'm ready. Thank you.
Yeah. So now we are going to move on to the head. And the head is all that part of the intonation phrase that extends from the first stressed syllable up, but not syllable up to, but not including the nucleus. What do we mean by that? Remember that in the previous example, we have this, that it's the tonic syllable. The head, it's going to be everything that's before the nucleus or the tonic syllable, but not including the nucleus or the tonic syllable. So in this case, the tonic syllable is going to be from little less than an hour. I mean, from a little less than an. I mean, no, I'm sorry. Little less than an, because it says that it's all that's in from the first stressed syllable. So in this case, the first stressed syllable is little less. So it's going to start here and it's going to finish here. Little less than an. And here we have some examples. And the first one is those, which is the nucleus. And it's only that word, so we know that that's the nucleus. And then we have give me those. In this case, give me, it's the head, because if we think about it, if I only say give me, you can ask yourself, give me what? Right? It has a stress, a primary stress, but the most important element, like we already know, it's nucleus, that in this case is those. So the head is going to begin from give, and it's going to end in me. Give me those. Give me those. Sometimes maybe it can have a prominent, the first element can have prominence, but the most important one is those. Then we have Billy called to give me those. In this case, we have the primary stress, the stress on Billy. So the head is going to start on Billy, and it's going to include all the elements up until before the nucleus, right? And then we have the sentence, not sentence, but the IP that says in an hour, in an hour. And in this case, hour is our nucleus, but we don't have a head, because in this case, these elements are not stressed. These, in and an, are function words, therefore they are not stressed. And also has a schwa, so there's no way that those words are stressed. And therefore, as we don't have an element that is stressed before the nucleus, we just don't have a head. So remember to interrupt me if you don't understand something. And now we have the prehead. And this is what those elements that were not stressed before the nucleus correspond to. And it says, the prehead is composed of all the unstressed syllables in an intonation phrase preceding the first stressed syllable. What does this mean? That, for instance, here we have the sentence, in a little less than an hour. As we already know, hour is our nucleus. Little less than an is the head, because we have the first stress in the word little. So everything that's from little up until an, it's going to be the head. But these elements that are at the beginning, that are not stressed, are going to be the prehead. So those elements that were by themselves in the previous one are now, now they have a name, and they are called the prehead of this IP, or this intonational phrase. So for the prehead, we have two scenarios. And in the first one is when we don't have a head. And it says when there is no head, example, not stressed syllable preceding the nucleus. Like I already mentioned, in the case of in a, we have a prehead, even though we don't have a head, because we have a prehead and a nucleus only. And the second scenario of the prehead is when we do have a head, like in the case of in a little less than an hour. We have the prehead in a, Then we have the head, little less than none. And then we have the head, or in this case the nucleus, which is hour. Now, finally, for the last element, we have the tail. And the tail is some elements or some syllables that follow the nucleus. This means that the tail is going to correspond to the elements that are after the nucleus. And it says, any syllables between the nucleus without including it and the end of the intonation phrase are called the tail. So like just with the previous components, we don't include the nucleus or the tonic syllable because that element stands by itself, but we have elements that precede the tonic syllable and that are after the tonic syllable. And in this case, the elements that are after are going to be called the tail. And the example says, look at it. The nucleus is the word look, and everything that is after the nucleus, in this case at it, it's going to be the tail. Do you have any questions about this? Because now we are going to practice the concepts, and I need you to ask any questions if you have. I want you to ask me questions if you have any, because if you don't understand these concepts well, you are going to have a hard time working on the next activity. So is it clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Just remember we have four components: the head, the prehead, the nucleus, and the tail. The most important one is the tonic syllable or a nucleus, and that it's going to be the most important element within the IP, and that doesn't mean it's going to be the most prominent one. So remember that. Now we are going to practice, and there you have 7 sentences, and for each one of these sentences you have to identify the prehead, the head, the tonic syllable, and the tail. I am going to give you now 1 minute for you to read the statement, so please go ahead. Okay, so as I want you to identify each part, I would like to recommend you to write down each one of the sentences, and just like you do maybe in the grammar class, you can identify each part or each component by underlining it or writing the initials or something like that. So I am going to play a recording of each one of those sentences, and while I am going to play each recording 3 times, and while you are or even maybe before I start playing the recording, you can write each sentence down, and then at the end of the last recording, I am going to give you 1 or 2 minutes if you still need some extra time to identify the components. Even though these recordings, even though you're going to listen to the recordings, remember that sometimes the tonic syllable, which is the most important one, is not the most prominent one. And I insist in this because sometimes, or even it happened to me, that I was thinking that, oh, maybe this one sounds louder, so therefore this must be the tonic syllable, and sometimes that's not the case. So remember that it's always the most important element within the IP. So now we are going to move on to the first example, which is this one. And please tell me if you can listen to this, because I am not sure if it is working, because it says it wasn't playing audio, and I had to start the meeting. I mean the screen again. I had to start to share the screen. Wait.
What a bad day.
Could you be able to listen to that?
Yes.
Great. So this is the first one. Now the first time.
What a bad day.
Second time.
What a bad day.
Now the third time.
What a bad day.
Remember, there are 40 elements you have to identify. Now the second one.
What a bad day.
This is number 2. So please write it down. Now the first one.
It really doesn't matter to me.
Second time.
It really doesn't matter to me.
And now the third time.
It really doesn't matter to me.
Now the next one. This is number 3. First time.
Let me iron your shirt for you.
The second time.
Let me iron your shirt for you.
The third time.
Let me iron your shirt for you.
I think it's easier, just as a comment, if you identify the IP, within the IP, if you identify the tonic syllable first, because then you are going to know what elements, if they have any that comes after, it's going to be the tail, or if there's another element that it's more prominent or more important, perhaps that's going to be the primary stress. So I recommend you to do that. Now the third one. Now you're going to listen to it for the first time.
The food there was disgusting. The food there was disgusting. The food there was disgusting.
One last time.
The food there was disgusting.
Next one. Number 5. I don't know if I should be mentioning this now, but I completely forgot while I was presenting. The tonic syllable most of the times tends to be at the end of the IP. Not always, because sometimes we have tails a tail, but most of the times it is located at the end. So be aware of that. So now the first time.
That was actually a lot of fun.
Now you're going to listen to it for the second time.
That was actually a lot of fun.
And now you're going to listen to it for the third time.
That was actually a lot of fun.
The next one.
That
First time.
The concert is about to begin.
And this is going to be the second time.
The concert is about to begin.
And now the third time.
The concert is about to begin.
Now, this
The-
is the last sentence, the last IP. So this is the first time.
This experience has changed me.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't give you much time to write down the sentence. This is going to be the second time.
This experience has changed me.
And one last time.
This experience has changed me.
So that was it. Now you're going to have 2 more minutes. I think it's okay for you to finish if you haven't finished already. And after that, we are going to check. So time's up. Do you need an extra minute, or are we ready to check the answers? Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, great. Thank you very much, Bastian. And Do we have a volunteer to identify the components in number 1? Yes, Bastian?
I want to be the first because it's just, and if I get wrong, this is better than I don't answer the rest.
I used to do that sometimes whenever they asked me, like if there was a volunteer, because sometimes the ones that come after are a little bit harder. So I understand what you're doing. I understand what your strategy is. It's a very good one, by the way. So in this sentence, in this IP, what's the tonic syllable?
Bad day.
Bad day?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Is bad day or only bad? I am not sure.
I will say it is only bad, because remember, it's always one syllable or one element that's the one that's going to be the tonic syllable. It says in the name, it's a syllable. So in this case, this is a tonic syllable.
Okay. Head, what and tail day.
Is this okay? This is a tail, right? In the case of the first part, what is it's the head or the pre-head?
The head.
The head. And where is the stress?
There is no stress, but I didn't know that could be pre-head if it's not head.
I couldn't be able to listen to you very well. I think it's because of my internet connection. But remember that we can have a pre-head without having a head. And in this case,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And in this case, we have a pre-head because we don't have an element that it's stressed here. So this is going to be up until A, the pre-head. Oopsie. So that it is. Thank you very much. Now, I don't think we are going to have a volunteer, right? And I am sorry, but I will have to ask you, one of you, randomly, not so randomly, but if you if you haven't finished yet, or if you are, not scared, but if you are afraid of sharing your answers, or maybe because you think you are making a mistake, it's okay, because this is a place in which you can learn from your no mistakes, but your errors, and this is a safe place in which we are all here to learn. So it's okay if you don't get this at the first try. Trust me when I say that it really took me a while as well to be able to identify the different parts. So it's okay if you don't get this right at the first try. So for number 2, Camila Gonzalez. Are you there, Camila? Can you speak? I don't think she can. Diego Farias? Diego, are you there? I don't think he is. Diego Troncoso? Are you there, Diego? Ignacio Jofre?
Yes.
Can you help me with number 2, please?
I'll try because my internet went down
I'm
this
sorry.
weekend. Yeah.
But is it okay for you to do this? Are you comfortable doing this?
I don't know.
Well, I can help you. If you don't feel that confident, I can help you. and I can guide you through this sentence, through this
Okay.
idea. So the number 2 says, it really doesn't matter to me. Where is the tonic syllable?
Doesn't matter. Or really?
In this case, it's just like the previous one. It is not 2 words, the nucleus, but it is
Also,
only
it
one.
doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't? Do you want to listen to the recording again? Or I am going to read it, okay? It really doesn't matter to me.
Oh, it's really.
Really? The thing is that we haven't stressed in really. So you're correct. Here we have something. But this something includes doesn't. So what it is this part I just selected? What it's going to be this part? If this has the first stressed.
The head.
Perfect.
Or the tonic syllable.
Remember that the tonic syllable, it's a syllable. Like in the
No,
name.
it's just the head.
This is just the head, right? And also remember that from the tonic syllable, we are going to be able to identify then the tone or the intonation pattern. So for instance, in the case of, it really doesn't matter to me. From matter is when we start to produce a falling intonation. So always remember that the tonic syllable is going to be the one that it's going to carry the, it's going to be the element that it's going to lead to the intonation. And in this case, if I say, it doesn't really matter to me, I think we can all agree that in this case, matter is the tonic syllable, or not?
Yes.
Yes. And what about the rest? This element, for instance, what is this?
The tail.
The tail. And this first element that is missing, what
The
it is?
prehead.
The prehead.
The prehead.
Exactly, the prehead. So we
In
have
the
a
third, Miss, in the third sentence, the prehead could be let.
yes. Do you want to do the? Thank you very much, Ignacio. Gaspar, do you want to do number 3?
Yes, for me no problem.
Okay. So first, before thinking about the prehead, the head, let's identify where the tonic syllable is. Okay. For you, which element is the tonic syllable?
The tonic syllable could be for you.
For you?
Oh,
Let
no,
me
no.
iron your shirt for you.
Your shirt could be the tonic syllable.
Your shirt.
Your
Okay.
shirt.
But remember, as I already mentioned, it's only one element. By one element, I mean one word. That it's going to be identified as a tonic syllable. So in this case, if I say your shirt, only if I say your, you're going to ask yourself, what mine? Like, what are you talking about? But if I say shirt, you're going to, my shirt, right?
Shirt,
So
yeah.
in this case, the tonic syllable is which element? Your or
Iron.
shirt?
Oh, no. Shirt.
Shirt, right. So this is the tonic syllable.
The tonic syllable, yeah.
Yeah. And now that we have identified the tonic syllable, we can start identifying the rest. And in this case, for instance, what do we have after the tonic syllable?
This is the tail.
The tail, perfect. And now we are going to move on to what it is the prehead and the head, if we have any. So
The prehead could be let me.
let me. Okay. So this is going to be the prehead. And then we have an stress, right?
Yeah, it's the head, the next part.
the next bar, right? So this is going to be the head because we have a stress here in iron. So that's why that's going to be the stress. So in
That's
this case,
correct.
yes, exactly. In this case, we have pre-head, head, and the tonic syllable and tail, just like in the previous one. So we have all four elements. Thank you very much, Gaspar. Now,
You're welcome, Miss.
thank you. Kelly Valdez. Are you there, Kelly? Can you help me with number 4? No. Marietta,
Yes, miss.
can you help me with number 4, please?
Yes.
Great.
Um, so,
Yeah.
and the tonic syllable is disgusting.
It's disgust, right? It has like a very strong emotion to it. It's like that.
No. There is a prehead.
Because it's an stress, right?
And the rest is head.
Okay. You are absolutely right. So in this example, thank you very much, Marietta, we don't have a tail. We only have a pre-head, we have a head, and we have the tonic syllable. So the food was disgusting. The most important element is the word disgusting because how was the food? Disgusting. If we only say, oh, the food, okay, we have some food. But how was that food? Disgusting. So now, number 5. Natalia Correa. Can you speak, Natalia? I don't know if you're listening to me, but now that I read your name, I remember that there was a girl called Natalia Correa that was looking for you on a Facebook group we have as a program in which we all share information or we ask questions, and she was looking for you because of your email. I don't know if you could be able to fix that, but if not, you can or ask me or send me an email or ask me in Teams or something like that if you haven't been able to. If you haven't heard about that situation yet. Nicolás Duran or Natalia? Yes, could you?
I think that the next level is fun.
Fun. Yes, indeed, it is fun. And
That is the prehead.
I am going to give you a little help. It is more than that. Up until
That
where
was
that was perfect. That is the prehead.
and the rest is the head.
Great. Thank you very much. Now, Nicolás Duran, are you there, Nicolás? No. Pia, are you there, Pia? Can you speak, Pia?
Yes.
Can you help me with number 6, please?
Begin is the tonic syllable.
Yes. Whoops, that looks kind of ugly. Sorry. And what about the rest?
And the prehead.
The prehead, okay.
And the rest is head.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And now, last but not least, Sebastián Camaño, can you help me with the last one, please? This is the last thing we're going to do before the break. So this is the last sentence, the last IP, the last exercise. Can you speak, Sebastián?
Yes.
Can you help me with this one, please? This
The last one.
experience has changed me. Exactly, the last one.
Okay, this experience has changed me. So I think the pre-head is in this. Just
Okay.
this.
Just this.
And the pre-head, I mean the head.
Yeah.
And from experience to has, those two words. The head. So yeah.
This is the head, right? And now the tonic syllable?
Yes, the tonic syllable changed.
Changed. Correct. Oops. And finally?
Me as the tail.
Me as the tail. Thank you very much, Sebastian. And I know it looks very ugly. I'm sorry. I am not the best at writing. But here are the answers. And as we all work together, you are absolutely correct. So we have in the first, they all have a pre-head. They all have a head. They all, of course, have a tonic syllable because they must have a tonic syllable present in the IP. And only number 2 and number 3, and number 7 have tails. So, with that being said, do you have any questions about tonicity? If you don't, it is going to be time for a break. So, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Ask. Ask whatever you want to know.
The pre-head is always not stressed.
Exactly.
But the head is a bit stressed.
The
Don't you think it could be a bit confusing and know between the head and what is the
pre-head.
tonic? No, because both have stress.
Yes. Yeah. I completely understand what you want to say. It can be a little bit confusing because, as you already mentioned, the head has stress and the tonic syllable also has stress. But you need to remember about what I said earlier, that it's not the most important unit. It's not the most important. The tonic syllable, it is the most important element, even though it may not be the most the one that is produced with more prominence. So sometimes, even though you may hear a sentence that it's produced with more prominence, you need to think about the sentence itself and what it wants to the speaker wants to express. And for this reason, the context or each word of the sentence, the IP, it's very important in order for you to identify these elements. And also, one key element, it is that you need to listen to it and remember that from the tonic syllable, from the tonic syllable, the intonation pattern, it's going to begin. So try, when you listen to something, try to listen the intonation, if it's raising or falling, and depending on which word the intonation pattern begins, that it's going to be your tonic syllable most of the times. Oh, it should be all the time. But I understand what you mean. It's very tricky. So now that it's 9:30, I think it's time for your break. So I will see you all if there's no more questions, right? No? No, if there's no more questions, I will see you all after 10 minutes. So
Okay, see you later.
see you later. See you later, Gaspar.